Hi there, folks. Welcome back to Mossy Roots Farm. The girls today wanted to discuss with you what you should feed them. And alfalfa cubes is always the answer. Here, watch this. All I do is open said bucket, and they swarm. They swarm me for the cubes. So, the reason I say you've got to discuss feed is because you've got to decide what you're actually feeding these cows. And I know that might be a little counterintuitive, or maybe I'm a little out of order with this, but I assume a lot of the time that you're going to feed grass because that's what I feed. But what if you guys wanted to feed some grain? Well, you have a couple options. Get yourself an old gravity wagon like this, put you some loose feed in it. Here I got a bucket here that I've been feeding baby girls just to give them a little energy boost since they're in the barn and only eating hay. You know, just some loose mineral or some loose feed. Add some mineral to it and you're good to go. But then you got to have the extra cost of a gravity wagon or one of those big totes. The best thing I can show is this water tote here. So some of these feed mills will have a tote like this that you can purchase, rent. I forget the deal because we've never done it before. And basically it has a removable top. They load up the feed in it. They'll put it in the back of your truck with a forklift. And then you can leave it in the back of your truck if you wanted and just feed out of it, scoop it out with a bucket or a shovel. And then you could grain feed your cows. But the problem is that adds some cost. And again, depending on gravity wagons, that could add additional costs that you were unprepared for. So these gravity wagons for us, this red one was free, came with the farm. I'm sure Grandpa paid something for it back in the day, but I didn't pay nothing for it, so it's free. Our steel one up here, our gray one, that one costs us $400, 4 or 5 years ago, I think. We've had it for quite a while. Nowadays, you can't find a gravity wagon in decent condition on a chassis, on a frame for less than $1,000. Sometimes even less than $1,500. And no, I'm not talking the big, massive 4 million bushel bins either. I'm talking these little guys. I don't know what they are, maybe 250, 300 bushel, but they're definitely small. They're not massive by any means. There's a key cat sunning itself, which I don't know that you can actually see. Hi, Grace. Can I help you? You've already had a cube. So, they add cost. Then, the bulk feed adds cost. This bulk feed costs us anywhere from $200 to $400 a ton. And the reason I give such a big range is it depends on time of year. What the cost is, it depends on what year you're actually purchasing the feed. Because some years the corn crop or the bean crop did super well and there's just so much they have to sell that they charge a smaller price for it or a lower price for it. And then some years the bean crop or the corn crop does absolutely terrible and you can't buy it for less than $500 a ton in bulk. So it all depends. Plus it depends on if you get minerals in there or if you make it your own with minerals or what your protein content is, because the more soybean meal increases the price and such things like that. But I don't generally use this for cows. As you see here, it says hog starter on it. We use this for pigs. We make our own pig and chicken food. Now, yes, I did say I give a little bit to the baby girls as they're growing, as they're stuck in the barn, because all they're eating is a round bale. So I need to make sure that they're not dying from the round bale. You know, make sure it's high enough content, because the big cows can choose which parts of the round bale to eat, and they get a fresh one every 6 days, 3 to 6 days, basically. But these girls are stuck with whatever I feed them, so I make sure that they have plenty of energy, make sure they have plenty of protein. Plus, we want these girls to grow a little bit. They're still a little small. Not Gracie, she's a monster, but Miss Esther over here is a little tiny thing. So we feed them a little extra. But once you get this stuff, you got to figure out how you're storing the feed and what you're doing with it. All these cat litter buckets, we put feed in. The reason we put feed in them is, one, they're way cheaper than buying a Tractor Supply bucket. And I'll show you one of those here. I think I got one. Okay, don't have a Tractor Supply bucket. Don't know what happened to it. But as you see, we have quite the collection of cat litter buckets. So when we go to Tractor Supply or Walmart or wherever, we'll buy ourselves a cat litter bucket, and then we've got a container to store all the feed in. Now, you could also use a trash can. I would not recommend one like this. I'd recommend a steel one because rats will chew through even a heavy-duty tote like this. Or like a steel drum is perfect because no animal's getting in that. Especially you put a big heavy brick on top. Raccoons aren't moving that. They've tried, but they've failed, luckily. You got to decide what you're feeding them. And when you decide what you're feeding them, you got to decide how much, how often, and if you're going to add or take away anything while you're doing so. Because you can just purely grain feed a cow, but they're going to start having stomach issues because they need a little bit of hay to keep ruminating properly. You can completely grass feed or hay feed a cow, but you're going to have to make sure that it's good quality hay, or you've got some animals like Dexter's that are really great at converting poorer quality hay into good quality protein and feed in their bellies. And you're going to have to make sure you have enough of it. You know, they say animals eat about 3% of their body weight per day in feed. So a 1,000-pound animal is going to need, what's that, 30 pounds? There I go doing YouTube math again, on-camera math. I'll probably be wrong in the comments. Let's just say it's 30 pounds. So every day you got to give them 30 pounds of feed. Now that does not mean 30 pounds of grain. That just means 30 pounds worth, because grain is a very energy-dense substance. So you got to decide on your feed, and it doesn't truly matter. A lot of folks will tell you grass-fed only. A lot of folks will tell you corn and soybeans have all sorts of weird chemicals in it. They got estrogen in it. I may or may not share some views on some of that stuff, which is why we grass feed only, but ultimately it's up to you as the farmer to decide what you should feed your brand new baby cows. Alrighty, guys. As long as Grace doesn't completely eat me, I will see you guys on the next one. Now Esther's joining the party. Why are you both trying to eat me? I don't taste good, I promise.